You're listening to Hornier Than Thou with Gloria Perez and adult film star Max Magnum as we teach you about sex, the LGBT community, and have candid conversations about how our conservative upbringings affected our sex-positive outlooks in adulthood.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Hornier Than Thou podcast. I am your host, Gloria Perez, and I have my co-host,
Max Magnum.
Welcome back. We are going to give you a fun episode today. It is called 5 Golden Slings, and it's going to be all about kinks and fetishes.
Love it.
But before we get started, hold on, because I'm still doing dry January at the time of recording. So tell us what we're going to be drinking today, Max.
It sounds prettier when you say it.
Okay.
You say it.
So we are going to be trying agua de coco, and it is just basically coconut water.
And the brand?
And the brand is El Mexicano. Okay. El Mexicano. And it is just, it says, it has pulp in it. It's hidratante y refrescante, hydrating and refreshing. So let's give it a whirl. All right. And I've had coconut drinks before, but I don't think I've had this brand.
It's pulpy.
It's pulpy.
She pulpy.
She pulpy.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Straight out of the coconut.
I love that.
It's really good. Mm-hmm. Coconut is not a flavor that's for everyone, and I get it. I don't like artificial flavored coconut because the first time I got drunk was on Malibu. And not in Malibu, that would have been nice. But I got drunk off of Malibu. Yeah. And so my first hangover I ever had. And it just tasted, I feel like Malibu tastes like shampoo or something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, yes, like coconut shampoo.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but this one's good. No, I totally get what you're saying. There are some coconut drinks that are way more on the artificial side. This, lovely. And it has these little chunks of
What would you rate this?
Cocoa. In the world of coconut drinks, I would rate this a 7.
Really?
Yeah. It's good,
I'd give it an 8.
Okay.
I don't know. I like the chunks in it. I didn't think I was going to like it, but it's like a good, I don't know.
Do you like pulp?
Yeah, I do. Are you like a no pulp person for orange juice?
No. I actually love pulp. Okay, so we're going to make this episode really fun. Quick background. I don't know too much about kinks or fetishes, so this is going to be kind of a little game that I'm going to play with Max today. I'm just going to fire off some of the most popular
Let's do it.
fetishes.
I feel like I'm going to be good at this. I don't know yet, but we'll see.
I'll fire away.
So I think we should start by kind of defining the difference between maybe like a kink versus a fetish. From my experience of what I know, and I could be wrong, so if I'm wrong, please let me know. But a fetish is when you have like an object of your fetish. So like a foot fetish or a something else fetish, nipple tassel fetish or something like that, right? Whereas a kink is more like an unusual sexual
preference,
proclivity. Yeah. So something like electroplay or something to do with water or something like. Would you agree on that definition? Do you think that makes sense?
I think that is the best way to summarize it. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's more that goes into it, but
I feel like a lot of people use the terms interchangeably, right? They're like, "Oh, what's your kink? What's your fetish?" And it kind of means the same thing, I think. But if you break it down, that's probably the difference.
Typically, a fetish includes an object, right?
Like
some kind of object.
Like a foot. You remember like a foot fetish.
Like a foot fetish, exactly. And a kink is more of an act, like the act of something or a preference of something. If we're wrong, please correct us. Keep us honest. Okay, we're gonna fire away. Ready to roll?
Oh, what are we doing?
Okay, so I'm gonna just start firing off some of the most popular fetishes and kinks out there.
Okay.
And then you're going to tell me, and a lot of these, I don't know what they are, guys. Like, I learned today, or as we record.
Whenever she has to ask me. Like,
yes.
She's like, "What, Max, what does this mean?"
Exactly. So, I'm learning with you guys, all right? Here we go. We're going to ease us in with something that we probably all know. Okay. BDSM.
So, I feel like a lot of people get this wrong, but I feel like the abbreviation has something to do with like bondage. okay, my head says like sadism, masochism, but I don't know if that's right, or like dominance, bondage, submissive, something. Some of those letters stands
Yeah.
for some of those letters.
You're
What
on
is
the
it?
right track.
Okay.
It is an acronym for bondage and discipline, dominance and submission.
Okay, wait. Say it again. Bondage.
Bondage and discipline, dominance and submission, and sadomasochism.
Okay, so I still feel like those letters don't make sense to me, but I got it. Okay.
Bondage, BDSM. Bondage, discipline, sadomasochism.
Okay,
I guess
gotcha,
that's
gotcha.
how it works,
Gotcha.
right? Okay, so what kind of experiences have you had with that? Have you had any?
Yeah, I think BDSM is kind of wide. People take it to certain like extremes. There's like, I was actually just talking to you about this the other day. Remember, like Folsom Street Fair is a BDSM festival or like fair that happens on Folsom Street in San Francisco in September every year. I think it's in September, and I've never gotten to go, and I really want to go. But you'll just walk around and you'll see everyone exploring their kinks and fetishes, and I think it's really cool because it's not even just a gay thing. Like, there's a lot of any type of gender, sexual orientation. A lot of people participate in this, and I think it's like 250,000 people is the last time I read that go to this every year. So something I want to explore.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I say there's like varying degrees, I don't know if you consider, maybe the more vanilla people would consider like getting your hands tied up to the bed as like BDSM, but it's very different than if you were to go to like literally like
I
a
feel
workshop
attacked.
on it, or
I feel attacked. That would be me. I'm vanilla, I guess.
or if you were to go to like a sex dungeon or something like that, it'd be very, very different. For me, what have I experienced? I have done like tied up, blindfolded.
Okay.
Edging is big. Edging is
What's
like
edging?
So edging is like when you get jerked off to the point where you almost want to come, or like you're almost about to come, and then they stop.
Like you're on the edge.
They stop. Yeah, edging. Yeah,
there we go.
And so me and my ex would do that. There was a guy who liked to edge us, and so we would go over to his place in New York, and we'd get edged. And so we literally get our like hands tied behind the chair, and we'd have a blindfold on. And whenever you have a blindfold on during any type of sex, it's just amazing because it cuts, your other senses take over, right? So like
They're
cuts
heightened.
out. So you're just sitting there in like pleasure, and you can't really see anything, and you're just, yeah, it's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So wait, with edging, really quick, what is the objective? To not come at the
Well,
end?
eventually they'll make you. But,
Okay, but-
when guys edge,
Okay.
they like shoot their cum a lot harder and farther and longer. And so if
Got
you
it.
edge, like it's just building you up closer to orgasm.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
The more you know.
Can straight women do that? I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. All right. Learning, taking notes here. Okay, the next one. I think this one is very closely related, but switch. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, so switch is somebody who likes to switch between the dominant and the submissive roles. So this is, okay, like in the gay community, for instance, if you're a top or you're a bottom, right? That's not always synonymous with dominant or submissive, because you can be a dominant bottom, you could be a submissive top. It's kind of a spectrum, right? But like, yeah, so a switch is someone specifically who likes to switch between the dominant and the submissive roles.
So you're like a verse?
Your verse,
verse.
but not verse in position, verse in like
The role you're playing?
the role. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I had never heard of that.
Yep.
I was today years old when I learned that.
Straight people can be switches too. Women, men.
Okay, here's another one, which is kind of like what we've talked about already, but ropes and bondage. So essentially just...
Yeah, and there's actually a name for, I don't know if it's a specific type of rope play, but it's called shibari. And, you know, if you've ever seen any like porn videos where they do like the really pretty rope tying, like there's classes you can go, kind of like, okay, so you know how like tantric massages are like these like sensual massages that they teach couples for like their relationship. Shibari, there's classes on it where you can actually learn like how to heighten sensuality, how to tie it in the right place where it, you know, heightens sensitivity in certain areas and stuff like that. So
Now I want to take a class in that.
yeah, it's pretty interesting actually. I've watched a couple before.
Have you ever taken any classes in that? Okay.
No.
All right, here are some funny ones. Well, not funny. Funny to me because I've never heard them. Let me see if Max knows these. What is a rigger?
Is that the person who ties the rope?
It says an experienced and skilled bondage/rope person, usually a top/dominant.
Okay, so like the person who would be in control. So
okay.
It would be like ascribing a name.
And then you kind of said this earlier, a must-have in shibari. That's what it says here. A must-have in shibari and other complex rope work play.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're the rope master.
The roper versus the
roper.
ropey.
Great, love that. Okay, what is a rape? Oh no. I am so sorry. That is not what it says. What is a rope bunny?
Is that the opposite of a rigger?
Yeah, a rope bunny is a person that is tied up within rope and bondage play. Okay, so you have a rigger and a rope, not rape, bunny.
Bunny.
Bony? A rape bony? Oh no. Okay. All right, so have you heard of this one? Praise kink.
Praise, like praise?
Mm-hmm, like I give you praise.
That's what I would assume. Is that what it is? Like when you like to praise... Is it the person who likes to praise other people or the person who likes to be praised? Is what I assume.
It says it is a sexual fetish around exaggerated compliments and approval. That sounds like something I would like. But I was
thinking, that sounds right up your alley.
Am I a praise kink person?
I think you just like praise.
I do. I love praise. Words of affirmation is my love language. Okay. All right. Cool. So primal kink. Have you heard of that?
That to me sounds like bringing out your primitive primal side. Like just like being very carnal, very raw. Maybe even like some animal noises or something.
I wonder. Okay.
What does it say?
It says primal play is a kink that involves getting in touch with your base animal nature and allowing yourself to explore your impulses with your partner. Primal play can be a form of BDSM if it involves power exchange, for example, in the case of dominating or overpowering using nothing other than physical strength.
Okay, so I'm kind of good at this.
You are. Or you're just like a sexual being.
What's the next one? This is fun.
Okay, breath play.
Is that just like what it sounds like? Where it's like you...
I think so.
I don't know.
People getting off on oxygen?
Well, like is it like asphyxiation play where like you get choked out, or is it like your breath on someone's body? Or
you were on it right away. So consensual sexual act of restricting one's oxygen to intensify erotic experience.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that in porn. They'll even put on like these full like body suits.
Okay.
Like almost like a morph suit, but like a latex one, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll constrict everything, and they they have a mask on, like a gas mask, and the air comes through, and they'll cut it off for a certain amount of time so they can't breathe. And then they'll and it's obviously you have to really trust this person.
I feel like such a pious person.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard this. I've never heard of this before. Okay, well, All right, here's one. This is probably more of a straight person thing, but we'll see. Breeding.
That just means coming in somebody without a condom.
Yes.
Right?
So yes, partially. So like animals breeding, a breeding fetish is when one is sexually aroused by the thought of getting pregnant or impregnating another person.
Oh, so it's taken through like a whole nother... Well, I guess we can't do that
because
you're
gay. Breeding. Yeah, right.
But we call it breeding.
Okay.
And we call you guys breeders.
Yeah, because we're straight. The straights. Is that an offensive term?
The straights?
The straights.
No, nothing can offend you guys.
I don't know. I have no idea nowadays.
Y'all are chill.
I will say this. I think I experience a little bit of breeding, arousal. But for me, as a straight woman, I have to have some kind of connection. Like I can't just,
So is it the idea of getting impregnated, or you just like the guy coming in you, or what?
I think it's both. It's the idea of like you have a connection with this guy and you actually... It's very kinky to think of like, oh my God, it's risky. And it's not a thing you should be playing with because a child is a whole ass human. But
yeah.
But there's just something about it. And if you're on birth control, All right. Okay. Ready? Next one. Bukkake.
Oh, that's easy. That's when a group of guys like come on your face.
Yeah.
Or like you suck them all off, they all come on your face. The bukkake portion of it, I think, is actually just called, because I think just sucking a bunch guys off is like a blow bang, but bukkake is actually the act of them all coming on your face.
Yeah, you're very, very, very close. So basically, I mean, you're on it. It's a Japanese term that literally means to splash with liquid. However, in porn, it is a genre of group sex film. Have you ever experienced? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on. I'm gonna skip cream pie because I feel like we all know what that is. That's something that I actually feel attracted to as well. Felching.
It's about eating cum out of another person's ass, or I don't know if also like their vagina. I don't know if it works that way. But felching in gay community is like coming in someone and then eating it out of them.
Okay.
So they kind of like push it out and then you eat it.
Okay.
Am I right?
And is it okay? Well, let's see. Felching. So many questions. It says felching refers to licking, sucking, or eating semen out of someone's anus. Oh, so it's only the anus? Oh, wait, hold on. However, the Urban Dictionary says that cum may be sucked from any orifice, including a vagina. Okay, so I guess it includes all.
Yeah.
Cool. Yogurting is the term used when a spoon is used instead of a straw. What? Have you heard of that before?
No. That's hilarious. I love it.
That's hilarious. Okay. Okay, this is something that I have never heard. Consensual non-consent.
CNC. So it's basically where you have an agreement beforehand that... So it is still consensual. That's why it's consensual non-consent. But almost like you want to get used or degraded or be submissive or whatever. And this other person can really do whatever they want to you, including inflicting pain. But it's consensual because it's arranged beforehand that when the act is going on, like the other person has full control.
So it's kind of like a role play in a way.
Yeah.
It says here, when you give blanket consent that allows your dom/master/top to push the envelope to a level or place you didn't specifically agree to. People do it because the spontaneity of being pushed unpredictably is a turn on for them. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of hot because if you like, okay, the idea like if you're going to be dominated, right? Or if you're going to dominate someone, let's say if you're going to be dominated, then if I know, oh, this is what they're planning on doing, they're planning on tying me up and then using a toy on me and then like, you know, whatever, right? The idea that you don't know what's going to come is kind of hot. And like, obviously that has to be somewhat non-consensual because, you know, it's a surprise. So I think that's kind of hot.
That is kind of hot.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm digging this one. I like it. Okay, well, before we continue, we got to go on to some ads because we got to pay the bills, guys. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Hey everyone, so we want to give a huge shout out and a recommendation to Freddie Collier Photography. He is in the Chicago area. He is a professional photographer who specializes in beauty, fashion, and product photography. We worked with him for our first photo shoot, and he was incredibly patient, super easy to work with, very professional. And if you're anything like me where you're doing outfit changes in a time constraint, I was super anxious and he just kind of, his calm demeanor just kind of kept us rolling. And yeah, totally recommend him. Please look him up. FreddieCollier.com is his website, and that is FreddieCollier.com. And we are back. So let's keep it rolling. Ready?
All right, I'm ready. Round two.
Round two. We are discussing fetishes and kinks, and I'm firing away, and Max is giving us his expertise or lack thereof. Okay, here we go. Cuckolding.
Okay, so cuckolding is when you so you have a bull, right? The bull is the person doing the fucking. I'm trying to figure out how to explain. Okay, so cuckolding, I think it actually originated with straight couples because it was like what a hot wife.
Something like
So,
the husband likes to see the
the
wife
husband-
get
Yeah.
laid by other men.
Exactly. So the husband likes to watch the wife get laid by other people. Now, there's different degrees. Like, the guy can participate. They don't have to participate. It's just, like, based on what they like. And the guy who would fuck the woman is called the bull. And the wife is called a hot wife, right? But cuckolding, more like generally speaking, can just refer to, like, when you like watching your partner get dominated by somebody else.
You know, I dated a guy that was kind of into that. I wouldn't say, I mean, we never did it like that, but he would tell me, he literally told me, he's like, if you and I ever become like serious, or like we get married in the future or whatever, he basically would give me free reign to screw anyone I wanted, as long as I came home and told him the stories, because he would get off on that.
See, I think that a lot of guys have that fantasy. Like, they all think it's hot. It's the insecurity or the jealousy that doesn't allow for them to do it. But I think all guys think seeing their woman with another guy is hot if you were to remove those other aspects out of it. Because they like seeing them be, like, submissive and stuff like that.
Is that what it is? Like, I wonder what it is. You know, because I would ask him that. I would be like, well, what is it that turns you on about it? He couldn't really, like, put his finger on it. I think it was just more of, like, just the act of someone being slutty.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, you know?
Yeah, like, me and my ex, we would have a lot of talks about it, obviously, and like we do stuff like that. And we would talk about me being like tied up in the corner of the room watching him get used, and I don't know, it's hot. It's like it's so taboo in a way, depending on like who you are and what you're used to. But when we would text and like sex and stuff, we would always talk about like him getting used and like all that stuff. Would be like really graphic with it.
Interesting. Oh, an interesting one. I like that one because it kind of crosses everybody. Okay. Exhibitionism.
You like showing off.
Is that basically what it is? Like, you like showing off? Yeah, you like
showing off or flashing or sexual acts
okay,
in front of people. Yeah.
Yeah, basically it says here, a kink that involves getting turned on by being watched, being sexual.
Yep.
Here's another one. Fisting.
Okay, you can actually fist a vagina too, but fisting would be like when someone likes a fist up their ass and they have to, you have to use like a special type of lube with it. And obviously like you have to work them into it, but yeah.
But people get a pleasure obviously out of this,
yeah.
right?
I mean like the person when you're like the bigger the dick, you know, is like feels better. That's
Okay, interesting.
So one of the OnlyFans content creator houses that I did on the last night, I won't say who, but there was a guy, a porn star there, and he was doing a scene with two of the other models that were there, and I guess the fisting went wrong, and he started bleeding like crazy. They were literally like bringing him ice cubes to put on his ass in the shower, and like he ended up having to go to the hospital. And I'm like, not on my last night of hosting this. Like, I was like, I don't want to deal with this right now, because of course, any problems that happen on the weekend, they're like, okay, we got to go tell Max. And so I was like, oh my god. Yeah. But
Daddy Max.
Yeah.
How did you resolve that one?
Well, I was like, okay, well, can someone take him to the hospital? Like, if he needs like medical care, and like trying to make sure that he got to the hospital. And
oh my god.
it was craziness.
What happened to him? Is he okay?
He needed some time to recover, but he's okay now. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Be careful out there, children. Okay, next.
Not children.
Not children, but you know what I mean. All right, moving on. Frauding.
So frauding is when you like to touch dick tips together.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, it says when two men rub their penises together to achieve sexual stimulation by way of non-penetrative. Okay. Do you get a rise out of that?
I'm pretty sure I do that like on a weekly basis.
He's like every day. Okay, cool. Impact play.
So that's someone who likes either receiving or giving, but like physical injury or like slapping, like punching, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Is that right?
You're right. Sensual spanking or striking someone with a toy or implement for the purpose of sexual arousal and or erotic punishment.
Yeah, it's like a part of BDSM.
Okay. This one I think we all know, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Role play.
Yeah, so it's actually interesting that you're saying this because role play, has taken many different forms, and I feel like the more comfortable people are talking about it, the different varying levels. So like there's your normal role play in the bedroom, obviously. I won't even get into that, like nurse or student or whatever, yeah. But then there's also other types of role play with like new, like have you heard of like furries?
I have.
Like those who like
but
dress up in
Again?
costumes.
Okay.
The costumes, like the animal costumes, or like pup play with like the puppy masks and stuff.
I have heard
and
of that.
like people getting like walked around on leashes and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So this actually brings me up an interesting topic, and I'm curious what you think on it. So I read the comments to this. It was a post on Facebook, and the comments were very split down the middle. But basically, someone who liked pup play, they walked into a Starbucks being led on a leash by somebody with a puppy mask on. And there was half the group of people saying, well, it's not sexual. You're making it sexual. It's that how they identify, and they just want to be seen as submissive. And so you're seeing it as a sexual thing. They weren't engaging in sexual acts. He was just being walked around on a leash. The other half of people were saying it's obviously something that's out of the norm. It's not okay because you're now exposing people who didn't consent to seeing that. So I kind of agreed with that side of things. I think that, if something has a sexual connotation with it, regardless, now there's going to be a lot of people that disagree with this, but my thought process is if something has a sexual connotation or is extremely out of the norm and can be jarring in a way that it could make someone feel like it was something they needed to consent to, which I definitely think this falls under that kind of like definition, then I do think it's something that should be kept within a certain community or within a certain enclosed space or like however you want to look at it. I did agree with the people that were like, it's not really right. But what is your thought on it?
Well, you know me, I'm very much like live and let live. However, this is one of those situations where I'm like, okay, and you're walking into a Starbucks. The thing is, I'm thinking from a straight, family type of perspective. Like if you have your kid there and you're at Starbucks and then somebody walks in being walked on a leash, how do you explain that to your child, right? So that's the only I guess the only, what do you call, like, the only problem or concern I'd have with it.
I feel like it takes a lot of balls to do that.
It does take a lot. That's a bold move for them to be like, I'm going to Starbucks and I'm going to be walked on a leash. Like, I would like to interview them.
I mean, so, like, that's kind of like where it draws the line is people will say, like, well, what about gender expression? What about if you are born a male, right? Or, like, with male body parts and you are trans or whatever, and you're dressing up or you're cross-dressing in a way, is that like exposure? And obviously the majority of people who are in line with our thinking is like, no, that's their personal identity, that's their expression. Right. And so then it's kind of like, well, where do you draw the line between those two things? But I think one is, gender expression, and the other one is, something that has a sexual connotation naturally. Right. So I think that's like the difference.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is echoing literally what you said. I think that's where you draw the line, is like, if there is any kind of sexual connotation to it, then think twice.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like before you go in public.
Well, let us know what you think, because I'm really curious to hear other sides of this that maybe I haven't considered. Yeah.
This is an interesting one. All right. Okay. The next one. Urophilia. Piss play. AKA,
you just told me what it was.
Oh, well, that's what it says here.
Well, euro meaning urinary, and philo meaning an affinity for, like attraction to. So, yeah, piss play.
So, AKA
water sports.
The golden shower.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Have you heard it called water sports before?
I've never heard it called water sports before.
That's what it's called, water sports. If someone asks you if you like water sports, you need to double check if they actually mean like wakeboarding or if they mean piss play.
That would go over my head. I'd be like, what kind of water sport?
You're like, yeah, I like to go tubing.
I love jet skiing. Okay, interesting. Do you have you ever been with someone that is like fully like, please, like, pee on me.
Yes, multiple. And I have done it multiple times. I've never been peed on, but I have peed on multiple guys that really like it. So one was a guy that I just hooked up with in LA, and then afterwards he asked me if I could pee on him. I was like, sure. He went and sat in the shower and I peed on him. There was another one where it was me and my ex, and we would hook up with this couple. And one of the guys in the couple had just like, he's always messaging being like, hey, like, can I see videos? Can you send videos of you peeing? And it's not that I would be against that. I honestly just forget half the time when I go to pee. Like, I'm not thinking, let me take a video of this, right? But what we did the last time he was there, he sat in our tub and the three of us just all peed on him. It was kind of hot.
That's so funny.
Honestly.
You're like, this is content right now. Hold
on.
All right. Okay. So, voyeurism.
That is the opposite of exhibitionism. So that's when you like watching.
I think I have a little bit of voyeurism. I love it. There's just something.
I feel like we all do.
We all do, right? I mean, we watch porn.
Right.
Right?
Right. And that's voyeurism in itself. I mean, it would be difficult, or it would be different, removing the fact that you're behind a screen and like there's that whole other sense of like people don't know I'm watching this.
Right.
So I think obviously real voyeurism is like being there in the act. But yeah, I definitely am a voyeur.
Yeah, basically that's what it is. Getting turned on by watching others be sexual. Some voyeurs get off on the people they are watching knowing they are there, whereas other voyeurs prefer
like peeping toms.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. It literally says it right here. Another word for voyeur is peeping tom. All right.
Did I write this article?
I swear, I think you wrote this article. Okay, so age play. I've never heard of that one.
That's just, the age play is like the fantasy of a vast difference in age, I feel like. So like when you like to pretend someone's like a little kid or a baby, or maybe on the opposite side of the spectrum, you like feeling like someone's like a daddy or significantly older and you're like a vulnerable little kid.
That's interesting.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it says age play is a kink that involves one or more consenting adults, keyword adults, role-playing as an age different from their own. One of the most common variations of the kink, known as DDIG, Daddy, Dom, Little Girl. Oh, DDLG. Daddy,
yeah, like,
Dom,
I'm a schoolgirl. It's usually like, I think it's usually a fantasy about like age inappropriate relationships, you know, that kind of thing.
That's interesting.
But it does, we do have to make this distinction that like a lot of people are going to like bring pedophilia into this conversation. I was going
to say, we're going
and the thing is that if you know that this person is a consenting adult and they are of legal age and you just like the idea of them being like more vulnerable and younger, that's one thing. It's different than that person doesn't necessarily have an inclination for children. So I would just, or underage people. So I would make that distinction there. But yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said keyword adults. Okay, 2 adults.
Even if you like if you're a straight guy listening to this and you like the idea of like a schoolgirl, you know, like that's technically age play. So it's very different.
All right. So I think we've gone through the list.
Is that the end of our list?
That's the end of the list. If anybody wants to check out the article, it is lovehoney.com. And the title is 27 Types of Kink to Spice Up Your Sex Life.
So tell me what in this list was the biggest surprise or biggest learning moment for you? Like, which one were you like, oh my God, like, I just didn't even see that coming. I didn't know that was a thing.
Okay, I would say I was most surprised by consensual non-consent.
Oh, yeah.
That one
and that's actually, people kind of use that as an abbreviation, and I even forget sometimes what it means.
I had never heard of that.
You said you might be into it, though.
I know. That's why I'm like, wow, I'm learning a lot about myself. That's interesting. What about fetishes, like, you know, foot fetishes?
When people say fetish, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
Foot
it's like
fetish.
Foot fetish, right? But I think another one that falls in that same realm of like people really like is like underwear fetishes and stuff, like buying people's used underwear.
Oh, yeah.
And like,
I have heard of that. Or even just hand fetishes.
I actually think it's kind of hot. The underwear thing.
Yeah. Would you do it?
I don't know. I've never gotten to I've sold my underwear before.
Have you?
Yeah. And I've never gotten to the point where I've bought someone else's underwear, but I would say that it's kind of a turn on to me.
What is it? Do they like the body odor? Is
yeah,
that what
I think
it is?
it's like very like, it's like the biggest, like most direct way you can get to the, what do you call them? The smellers, what's it called? Like
what do you mean?
The scent. What's the word for like the sexual things that turn you on in someone else's scent?
Oh, I have no idea.
No.
What do
you
mean?
know.
I do?
Hold on. I have to think of what the word is.
You have me doubting myself over here. I don't know.
Pheromones.
Oh,
Yeah, someone's
okay,
pheromones.
yeah.
I feel like it's the
okay.
most direct hit of pheromones that you can get. It's like someone's underwear.
That's interesting, yeah. How did you package it all? Did you put a little note in there?
I kind of just like, I remember I had to take one of my pair and they wanted cum in it. So I felt a little uncomfortable walking around with a cummy pair of underwear.
Like
but I went
DNA.
to the post office and I found an envelope and I was just like, no one's looking at what I'm doing right now. And I just like zipped it up and sent it out.
Oh my gosh, no way. Was it a nice pair of underwear?
I think it was like a jock strap.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This has been really very eye-opening. I love it.
Did I get any wrong?
I don't think you got any wrong. You passed with flying colors. Do you have a favorite fetish or kink that stands out above everything?
I would say exhibitionism,
okay,
voyeurism, and group stuff is like when people ask me what are you into, like on Grindr or whatever. That's always the thing I say. I really like watching. I like being watched. I probably like watching a little bit more than I like being watched, and then I like group stuff. That's just always been a huge turn on for me. Like I remember when I was in Berlin. I went out with this guy and we were like, it was a weekday night. So we were trying to find a bar that was kind of popping, and I was 20 at the time. And so we were hopping around through different bars, and we found this one where like we were grabbing a drink and there was a staircase near us, and some guy just came up, this hot daddy guy, and he was like just like buttoning up his pants, and I was like, oh, we gotta go down there. I gotta see what's going on. I go downstairs. It's a literal sex dungeon. It's all brick. Everything's lit up in red lights, so it's all red. There were guys on like platforms just bent over. There was some guy being peed on in a corner. There were guys just like fucking all around, and I thought it was so hot. I was like,
and you're just like, you just walk around and you take a look, you take a gander.
Yeah, and I liked watching. Like I think it's hot.
I would like to go to one of those places for straight people. I would love to.
There are definitely, you can literally look up like sex parties and stuff, and tickets will come up on like Eventbrite for
that's crazy,
for like different stuff like that.
You know, we're missing out. We need to get out of this vanilla stuff.
All right, y'all. We would love to hear from you about your fetishes, your kinks, maybe ones that we didn't name. Get back to us about what you think about that Starbucks situation, because I am really curious to hear opinions on that, because I know it was very divisive. And then, follow us on Instagram, HTT_podcast. We'll be posting a new podcast every single week. Thank you so much for the listeners up until this point. Really, really excited. Try to get this off the ground. So please, any support is welcome. And, just a little kind of snapshot, something that Gloria and I have said that we want to do actually is in the future, start booking vendor booths and things like that at Pride events, go around to different cities and just kind of get the word out about the podcast. So if you happen to be listening, in a different city or in a different country, maybe even, please tell your friends. Really want to spread the word. We think this education, in a way, is important for everybody. So, and
it's a platform for everyone. Please, everyone is welcome.
All right.
We love you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.